Hello guys, this is Adam and welcome to the Adam Lab. Today we will be testing Cinema 4D on the M1 Max MacBook Pro 16-inch. The specs are 64GB of RAM, M1 Max with 32-core GPU and then 10-core CPUs with 8TB of SSD. So basically this is the fully spec'd out M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro. As for the version for Cinema 4D, we will be testing a 26.107. For Redshift, we will be testing version 3.5.4. As for the project, I will be testing this project that's called Mask, and the reason for that, because there is a YouTuber by the name Neo-chan, he actually did a test on that, but that test was at the very beginning when the M1 came out. They weren't even optimized at the time. At least Redshift was not optimized like today, and now Redshift actually has an official support from Maxon for Apple M1 chips, so there is no room for mistakes. So what we will go ahead and do is simply I will go ahead and run an APR. So I will start APR through Redshift just to see how long that would take. Voila, that was very fast to start. Right now for the progressive rendering, we are at 75%, 82%, 90%, and we are at 100, and that took 16 seconds for the image to be rendered in APR as a progressive render. Now what I will do is Command B, and then with the Command B I want to show you something right here. By the way, if you want to do it aside from Command B, you go up there and then you go to Edit Render Settings. Of course, if you have Redshift, that is, since Redshift is implemented into Cinema 4D, you will go to Redshift, and then from Redshift you will go ahead and click on Systems. So it will start on sampling. From sampling you go to Systems. There's the bucket size right here. When you first open Cinema 4D, it will give you a big warning that you have a lot of virtual RAM to work with, and they recommend that you increase the bucket size. In order to do that, so the bucket size right now is at 128, go ahead and put it at the maximum, and then the maximum is 512. Now if you noticed, with the 512 it did render faster, and the reason for that, because it will be using the full power of the GPU that is available for you, and it will use as much RAM as it can have. So if we can go to the RAM right here, right now it's using 24GB of render, and then you can see the spikes as well here with the CPU that it's actually using the CPU. This took around 14 seconds to render, so it's 14 seconds and like 0.02, so it's faster by 2 seconds than using 128. Now you might say, hey, this is not a lot, and that is true, but keep in mind the M1 Max is really not struggling with this project, and then I will leave a link for you in the description so you can download this project and then test it with your machine. I will do it with the 64. So with the 64 it does pop up quickly, but the rendering actually down below is very slow right now. It's not as slow, but it's slow in terms of APR when it comes to Redshift. Especially Redshift right now is optimized for the M1, and that took around 17 seconds. However, if we go and then put it here, wow, that didn't even take any time. If you put it on the 512, when it comes to moving in the viewport, right now I am moving the mouse and there is no lag or whatever that might be. As you can see right now, when Neo-chan was doing the same test on a 3080, the mouse was actually lagging, but here with the M1 Max, the mouse is not lagging. Let's go ahead and move the viewport, and there is no issues with that as well. Let's go ahead and click render and then see how long it would take. By the way, right now we are doing a progressive rendering, and let's see how long that would take. So it took 10 seconds to do a progressive render right here. Now let's do an official full render 100%, just going all out using Redshift. So let's go ahead and do that. I would assume it would take in the realm of 8 minutes, and the reason I am saying 8 minutes because that's what I have seen with other devices and such, so I thought it might be similar to that, but it seems to be faster, but we will see how long it would take. Now what I am interested to see how much RAM it's taking and then everything else. Looking at the usage for the RAM, we are using 30 gigabytes. But keep in mind, I do have Affinity Photo open, and Affinity Photo is taking around 6 gigabyte of the memory. 30 gigabytes minus the 6 gigabyte for Affinity Photo, we will be looking at 24 gigabytes. So granted, it does tell us right here, Cinema 4D is only using 13 gigabytes of RAM. When it comes to the GPU right here, the GPU is being used to the max, which means it's taking advantage of that, especially since I did put the bucket on 512, which means it will be using all the buckets available. The CPU is actually chill, and the device is not even hot. The device is actually silent. So far, we are 2 minutes in with 25%, which means my prediction for around 8 minutes is correct. We will wait for it to be done, and then we will see how much time it would take. For the device, it's not connected to a power source right now, so all this is on battery, and the battery when I started was around 90%. Plus, the profile for the battery is set on automatic. It's not set on high power, where high power usually will be pushing the machine even further, but in exchange it will turn on the fan. So you can do that if you like, but I want it to be as a realistic stock test. No overclocking, nothing as high power or anything of that nature. You just put it in, plug it, and then start working with the performance that you will be getting. So far we are at 50%, and with 50% we are only 4 minutes in, which means my prediction for this to be done in 8 minutes was actually correct. Getting back to the performance status and sheets, the total memory that we are using for the device right now is 32 gigabytes of RAM, which means actually if you have 32 gigabytes of RAM and you are using Cinema 4D, you will be good to go. Cinema 4D right now is using 15 gigabytes of memory, and that's memory with the random access memory, the RAM, plus the VRAM, the virtual memory for the graphic card. The graphic card, the GPU, as you can see right now, it's being used at 100%, but then when it comes to the CPU, the 4th and 5th efficiency cores, they are not even being used. 3rd and 2nd and 1st, just a little bit. Granted, we do have 10 cores. Literally, the 7th and the 8th and the 9th core and the 10th, they are not even being used. The project is done, and right now, the CPU is slowing down, and indeed, it took 7 minutes and 40 seconds for the whole thing to be rendered. And I will definitely leave this project for you in the comments below so you can download it and then test it and see the difference with you and your machine. And remember, if your graphic card allowed it, or if you have the M1 Max, just have the bucket as high as it can, because I noticed that does make a difference, because when you put it on 128, it will actually take 10 minutes to render this image, but if you go to 512, it will actually take roughly 7 to 8 minutes. In this case, it took 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So right now we are opening the new project, and hopefully it would give me the warning that I was talking to you about. Yep, it is giving me the warning. The warning is actually at the very bottom, and it's saying Redshift warning. Your GPU has a lot of VRAM. We recommend increasing bucket size to 256 or 512 for best performance. So what I will do the magic command B to open Redshift, and then we will go to Redshift. From Redshift, we will go to System. From System, so we have the bucket size at 128. We will increase it to 512 to Redshift, and then we will just do an APR and see how long that would take. So here we go. Okay, that was quick. That was decent. And that took 17 seconds. Now what I will do, I will just unlock the project. I definitely want to stop the APR, and I want to move. Now after you stop the PR and start moving, which usually that's what you will be doing, it will be good to go. Now let's go ahead and render the viewport quickly and see how long that would take to render the viewport. And that actually didn't take much. Bananas, that's actually quick. Well, that was around 27 seconds, because it would take me a second to stop it, but let's say 28 seconds. I did that 3 times with the viewport just to make sure that everything is okay. I closed the project, downloaded the project again, did it. I just wanted to make sure nothing is cached, because 28 seconds to render the viewport in freaking full quality, that is a quick, at least for this project, because this project is indeed a little bit heavier than the other project that we are working. That is, in my opinion, very good, but you can definitely test it for whatever machine that you have. Keep in mind, we are talking about a laptop, and keep in mind, we are talking about a device that is portable, so you can take this with you wherever you will be going, and then you can work on it and do whatever you need to do with it. I think that is a very good demonstration for Cinema 4D plus Redshift. That's everything that I have, and happy Eid to every Muslim out there, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.